The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall.
The picture of the cowboy, the saloon, the sheriff with his two guns, and the wild and lawless men with the rough exterior and the smooth drawl was reasonably authentic. This is a story about that era. Our mystery drama, The Blue Roan Stallion, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin and stars Tony Roberts.
It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and Sign-Off, the sinus medicines. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Long before the middle of the 19th century, the American Indian was doomed. The buffalo that once roamed his vast lands and on whom he depended not only for food, but every other aspect of his life, was being wiped out. Cattle now grazed where once the buffalo roamed, and the land they grazed was no longer Indian land, but the white man's. Cowboys and Indians were natural opponents from their roots. This is the story of one young man who was a part of both, and of a phantom symbol that tied them both to the past.
What is it, little buffalo?
Something strange, Mother. Beautiful.
A blue roan stallion.
Silhouetted against the setting sun. He's not one of our horses.
Oh, yes, he is. Or was.
Not this Cheyenne tribe. If it wasn't getting to be night, I'd try to take out after him and catch him.
You never would. Come here, little buck. No, I mean Dan.
I'm not ashamed of my Indian name.
So you saw the blue stallion?
I saw a blue roan. I think it was a stallion.
You saw the blue roan stallion. It came for me.
Came for you?
Let me talk. First of all, the legend. In this Cheyenne tribe, the greatest warrior and counselor of all was...
Straight arrow?
Oh, no, not your father. Except to me. I meant Lone Gray Buffalo.
My father's father.
The father of the man I lived with in this tribe until he died. It was Gray Buffalo's horse, and when he died, the great winter of the beaver, his horse died too. The legend has it that his stallion gave his life so that he might carry his child across the wide water to the happy hunting grounds. Your father saw him out there by the edge of the aspen the night before he took sick. And the chiefs sent for you.
I'm sorry I didn't get here in time to say goodbye.
He would have liked that. I'm glad you are here with me at the last.
I'm glad I'm here to make sure nobody turned his back on you.
Oh, they wouldn't have. I'm accepted now after all these years as one of them. As you are, I hope, in the other world.
Because nobody figures me with blue eyes and red hair for a half-breed. I find it hard to believe sometimes there can be any Cheyenne in me. Was he really my father?
Yes, son. And even though I sent you away all those years ago to live outside the tribe, he still remembered you as his favorite son because you were born of our union. I wanted better for you.
Better? The Cheyenne are better men than their white brothers.
No. They are a dying race. I wanted the future for you. That's why I sent you to your aunt in Abilene. You said in your letters you studied at school.
I did, Mother. I did. I can read and write.
Oh, go there by the head of the cot and look in the par's flesh. Your father left you one of his treasures there.
His Spencer rifle.
His most prized possession next to his horse. You may have walked into this camp, but you'll ride out of it. And armed.
Not without you. That's what I came back for.
No. I shall ride another horse. Listen. He is calling me.
Who?
The blue roan stallion. And seated on his back. To lift me in the arms and sweep me away as he did over 20 years ago. Young and straight in light bronze. With the muscles rippling under his skin, the face fierce and proud, and the back straight as the arrow that gave him his name. Yes, straight arrow. I am coming again to share your teepee and your blanket. My love, freely given, never taken, always given, never dying. Only waiting to begin again across the great water.
Mother.
You have to make me proud of you. And that is more reward than I can ask for you. Go quickly over the fire.
Yes.
There he is. Sitting on the blue stallion. Waiting for me. Look closely. And you will see me. Joy.
Mother. Oh, no. Dead. The last link anywhere. Now I'm alone. And there is no home. I came down off the edge of the mountains, across the flatlands, heading southeast back towards Texas. I had a good horse between my legs and a rifle I could drop a prairie dog with at 100 yards. It was summer, and before me I could see a far mile. I'd have never have seen him if it hadn't have been for the vultures. A big, heavy man, well-dressed, lying on his back, fighting to keep his eyes open. A Colt 44 cocked and ready in his lap if one of them came too near. You want to put up your gun? I'll give you some water.
Gun is for the buzzards, not you. A drink. I'd take it kindly.
Here. Hold on. Come at it easy. You'll tie up your belly in knots.
Oh, damn fool. I know better. Only when you hanker this hard for a drink, No, that's enough for now.
How long you been here?
Well, since yesterday afternoon. My horse shied at a rattler. It threw me. Oh, my leg's broken. Oh, my ranch isn't too far from here. And horse, we could make it by nightfall.
You're not in any shape to ride. Let's have a look at that leg.
It's just below the knee.
Yep. Shin bone. Tibia.
Hey, what are you? A doc?
No, just the son of a school teacher. Here.
What is it, huh?
It's a piece of rawhide fringe off my jacket. Fold it up so you can bite on it.
What for?
I'm going to set that leg of yours, and it's going to hurt. I'll have to use my rifle stock for a splint. Had to cut your pants leg away anyway, so we might as well use it to tie that splint secure.
Oh, you get that bone in place so I can walk again. I don't care. You stripped me naked as I was born.
We don't have to go that far. You're not doing any walking. You ride, I'll walk.
Oh, you ride Indian style? No saddle?
It was a long winter for cowhams.
Well, you get me back to my ranch, son, and you don't have to worry about winters as long as you want to ride, fence, herd, or cattle drive for the Crown M. My name is Hale Chalmers.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Chalmers. Dan's what they call me. Dan Bowles will do.
Oh, wow. What would do better?
Nothing. That's my name.
Okay, Dan Bowles. Let's get tracking. We got a right for a piece to go before we make it to home.
It would have been far, traveling as we were, me on foot and Mr. Chalmers barely supporting himself on Baldy's back, if long before we ever got in sight of the ranch, we hadn't run into all the hands led by the foreman, Mike Patterson, sweeping the range as far north and south as I could see, looking for Mr. Hale. Behind them was a buckboard with Doc Nate Reynolds driving, and as soon as he checked out Mr. Chalmers' leg, we all took out for the ranch, reaching there before dark. Before he passed out finally, Mr. Chalmers had told Black Mike, as I later found everyone called him, to sign me on.
Put your horse in the corral. I'll take you up to the horse house, Bowles.
Thank you kindly.
You travel kind of light. Injun pony?
Yeah.
You steal them?
Nope.
Hell, I don't care. Them mangy Injuns, they got anything to take, I'd take it after all the grief they brought us Christian men.
You don't like Indians, Mike?
No, I don't. I can smell them out like a rattler can a prairie dog. And on this land, I'm ranch boss. And the name is Mr. Patterson.
So in one day, I'd made a friend and an enemy. The friend I could reckon for sure. The enemy was just seat-of-the-pants hunch. I wasn't that bad in need of a job. I had to work under a ranch boss like him. And I might have considered real hard about signing on if it wasn't for a thing happened the next day.
Come.
Mr. Patterson said you wanted to see me, Mr. Chalmers.
I sure do, son. Come on in. Shut the door. Have some coffee with me.
Thank you, sir. I don't reckon I could stop for coffee. Mr. Patterson wants me out riding fence.
He does he? He signed you on like I told him?
Well, sir, I ain't rightly signed on yet. I reckon he wanted me to prove out, and I ain't made up my own mind the whole way.
Well, forget Black Mike. He's mean, ugly, cuss a lot of ways, but the best ranch boss a man could ask for. Go on, sit down. Pour yourself some coffee.
How's the leg this morning?
Well, it hurts. Means it's mending good, thanks to you. Got your rifle stock right here. Needs some cleaning.
No, I'd rather tend to that myself.
Yeah, I figured you would. And I won't ask another favor of you.
Well, sure, Mr. Chalmers. I guess.
Now, come right down to it. I hope you'll consider signing on here. Because I need a man like you.
I'll think on it.
All right, now, second, you know where Miller's Junction is from here?
Unless it's moved in the last month or two, I do.
Well, my daughter's due in there tomorrow morning on the Union Pacific Railroad. Now, I can't pick her up myself, laid up like this. Now, would you take the buckboard in and pick her up for me? Now, you go to the bank and see Mr. Slate. Now, I'll give you a dispatch pouch. Now, he'll give you an envelope with money we need here for operating expenses and see you're roomed and boarded at the hotel.
You're putting an awful lot of faith in me, Mr. Chalmers.
I owe you my life. Why wouldn't I?
Supposing I was to take the money and keep right on going.
You won't. You meet my daughter, and I guarantee you won't. And we'll take it all from here.
I didn't know right then that I was going to meet my whole future. And that whether it ended in life or death was a toss of the coin. And not very far away.
Some curious instinct, perhaps bred from the half of him that came from Indian heritage, faintly struck an alarm bell deep within Dan. Shutting his eyes against the sun as he came out of the ranch house, he could almost glimpse far off the vision of the blue roan stallion, and hear against his heart the drumming of its hooves. I shall return shortly with Act 2. Coming events do cast their shadows before them. The trouble, of course, is that only in hindsight is that warning shadow perceived or realized, usually too late to change the march of fate. As with Dan Bowles, whistling softly to himself while he hitches up the buckboard, enjoying the prospect of the trip to town as any lone cowboy would.
Bowles, what in Sam Hill do you think you're doing?
Hitching up the buckboard to drive into Miller's Junction.
I told you I wanted you out riding fence.
Well, I got to go by the boss.
I'm the boss around here.
Yes, sir. Ranch boss. But I got my orders direct from Mr. Chalmers.
What orders?
Take the buckboard in to pick up Miss Chalmers tomorrow off the railroad and drive her home.
You're not picking up Mercy, I am. Don't you pull out of here till I get back from the main house, or I'll be right on your heels. And I'll be carrying iron.
I don't carry a gun. It's not a way for a man to prove he's a man. I know I can shoot. I had a rifle in my hand since I was 5, and my father first put it there. I can take the head off a prairie hen at 100 paces. So by the time Mike came back, I had my old Spencer lying easy in my hands. But I could see he was in no mood to fight.
Bowles, you finished hitching up the buckboard?
Yep.
I'm ordering you to forget the fences. You climb aboard and hit off for town like Mr. Chalmers told you.
Yes, sir.
But don't you get no big head. You get Miss Mercy back here safe and sound, or you'll answer to me as well as to her father.
I reckon I'll do my best.
You better. You may be walking tall now, Red, but don't think it won't end with me cutting you down to size. I took a notion the minute I laid eyes on you there wasn't going to be room for both you and me on the same spread.
When the train pulled in next day, it wasn't hard to spot Miss Chalmers. Only 2 people got off. One was a man who helped her down. She was a small person, dressed Eastern style in a long, silky dress, with a great wide hat of straw and her dark, chestnutty hair. Dark brown eyes so big and deep a man could drown in them. And I did. I was in love with her from that very first moment. Miss Chalmers?
Yes?
My name is Dan Bowles from the Crown M. Your father sent me here to meet you and see you back to the ranch.
Oh, how do you do, Mr. Bowles?
Dan will serve, ma'am. I'm just a hired hand.
Oh, you must be something more if Daddy sent you to pick me up. And even if you weren't, we'll stick to Mr. Bowles. He's all right. Daddy's all right, isn't he?
Just laid up for a short spell.
Why?
Seems like his horse stepped in a gopher hole and throwed him.
He wasn't hurt bad.
Broke his leg is all. But only a shin break. You got some luggage I ought to be picking up.
Yes, I do.
So then I'll get you settled in the wagon and go fetch it.
I reckon I'll just trail your dust for a while. You are headed for quite a roundup.
You sure have a lot of belongings with you, Miss Chalmers, for a visit.
Who said it was just a visit?
Well, ain't you still schooling back east?
Ain't you still schooling? Oh, come on, Mr. Bowles. You can do better than that.
When in Rome, you know what they say.
Indeed I do. Do as the Romans do. But do you know who said it?
I believe it was St. Ambrose in reply to St. Augustine. Which ain't going to interest nobody too much west of the Missouri. Should we take on out, ma'am?
By all means, Professor. You seem to have the class well in hand.
You can josh me all you want, Miss Chalmers, but when it comes to class, well, I guess you could always show me my place. Hey, get out.
the stock off of your rifle and made a splint for my daddy's leg.
Well, you know the prairie, Miss Mercy. There ain't much else at hand.
Hey, now you know better than that.
Doesn't just seem to fit the surroundings.
Well, there's nothing to be ashamed of in education, I hope.
You're right. But it does irritate a lot of folks who never had a chance at it.
Oh, you've been finding that out at the ranch?
Maybe.
Not my father, certainly.
I wouldn't think so.
Mike Patterson, I bet.
I didn't say so.
You wouldn't have to. How come my daddy didn't send him to pick me up when he couldn't come himself?
And I reckon you'll have to ask him that.
I just reckon I will have to do that. I'll bet Mike was fit to be tied.
You and he have an understanding?
Now that's better. Proper use of the subjunctive case, not you and him.
I said my mother was a school teacher.
Did she bring you up?
Sort of. I got most of my schooling in St. Louis.
To be a cowhand?
Oh, that came after I graduated. I went south and did a heap of wrangling. And then I went for cattle drives.
With your education, what made you choose that kind of life?
Oh, but it was a way to come northwest to see my mom. And? A way of life, I guess. Gets bred into the bones and the blood. I love this country. I got my roots in it. And I'm a cattleman at heart. Hard to explain.
Not to me. Why do you think I brought all this baggage with me? Just for a visit?
I wouldn't know.
This ain't no visit, Dan. I'm back home where I belong. To stay.
Of course, she wasn't looking at me when she said that, but out across the flatlands to the mountains where the red was beginning to turn purple as the sun dipped low. But my heart gave a leap like it does when you hook some old trout, and I knew the first moment I got back I was going to sign on at the Crown M, in spite of Black Mike and the trouble I knew had to come between us sooner or later.
Mercy. Oh, Mercy, it's good to see you again.
Mike, nice to see you.
Here, let me help you down.
Thank you.
Hey, you, Dan. Here, you can take the rig to the back door to offload it. We won't need you.
Marcy! Oh, come on and let me see you. Give me a hug.
You all right?
Oh, honey, never better except for this temporary game leg.
Daddy.
Oh, don't knock me off my pin.
Oh, it's so good to see you. It's so good to be home.
All right, boy. Let's get that buck wagon moving.
Hey, hold it, Mike. Hold it now. You can take the wagon. Dan and me have got some business. You, brought what I asked, Dan?
I did, sir. Right in the saddlebag beside me.
Yeah, bring it in, then.
Whatever you say, Mr. Chalmers.
All right, Mr. Toady. You won't be walking high and mighty long.
Yeah, so now, how do you like the better half of the Chalmers family, Dan?
Miss Mercy's a mighty fine lady.
If you're going to sign him on, Daddy, I think it ought to be his butler.
Well, don't you run down Dan Bowles, honey. I owe him my life, and according to Doc Reynolds, the fact that I'll be able to walk again.
Oh, I wouldn't dream of running him down. He's too good at doing that for himself. Well, I'm going upstairs to freshen up. Could someone bring me my bag?
Just as soon as Mike gets him off the wagon, I'll have the houseboy bring him up to you.
I won't be long.
Oh, yeah, she's a caution. But it's good to see her home. Come on in my office, son. We'll get that money in the safe. Yeah, well, it's all here.
Oh, I hope so. You don't think I'd be siphoning any off on you?
Well, I told you to buy yourself some gear. Now, I see at least you got some new clothes.
Oh, sure. I also picked up a saddle and such, but I used my own money.
Okay. That's as you please.
I still got some money laid by.
You going to sign on with me?
And I'm not right sure I should.
Why?
Well, one good reason. Your ranch boss and me, we don't hit it off so good.
Yeah, well, for all his drawbacks, he's the best I ever had.
Anything wrong, Mr. Chalmers?
No. Just a twinge in my leg. Now, where were we?
About my signing on.
Yeah. Well, it isn't only what you did for me, but I'll tell you square out. Now, I took a liking to you from the first. And right at this time in my life, I don't know how to put it except I need you, Dan. Now, with Mercy home and determined to stay, she's just as taken by you as I am. I can tell. Well, I can't lay it out much plainer. I hope you'll stay, at least a while.
I reckon you don't have to twist my arm, Mr. Chalmers.
Oh, my damn, son, that lifts a heap off of my mind. While you was throwing your money around, you pick up a gun to carry on your hip,
No, sir.
Well, I got no choice, son. I have to warn you against Black Mike. He might call you out. You ought to be ready.
I'm ready, sir. But not with a gun. Never with a gun. A gun is to live by, not to die by.
Easy to say, but the west of Dan Bowles' time wasn't ready to be that civilized, or to recognize any law beyond the simple solution of a lead slug. Dan Bowles is a man of principle, however, and his principles are to lead him into such dangerous traps that may sign his death warrant not once, but twice. I shall return shortly with Act 3. As the hot summer passed on, no threat of the violent events to come showed. Hale Chalmers' leg was healed, so he could ride his horses with his old abandon. Mercy settled back into the rhythm of ranch life. Mike Patterson was fully absorbed in the handling of the stock in preparation for the fall drive to market. And Dan, well, he was the fuse primed for the explosion. Because Hale used him as a minister without portfolio, a sort of second in command, circulated to every field of the ranch life and management. But a delayed fuse is just as dangerous as any other.
Where the devil do you think you're going?
Mr. Chalmers' orders. Taking Miss Mercy to town.
I need you to help cut out cattle for the market.
I guess you're just going to have to wait until I get back.
I'm telling you something, Bowles. I ain't going to wait much longer till you and me have a showdown. While you're in town, better get yourself a gun.
I feel right at home on the range. And I sure never do hear a discouraging word.
I'm sorry. I was thinking.
How about an encouraging word?
Oh, don't do that, ma'am.
Ma'am. But are you determined to sell yourself into slavery?
I have since I first met you.
Now that is more like it. Stop the horses.
We're running a piece behind town.
You won't. I will. All right, Dan Bowles. Let's you and me have a showdown. Don't you think it's about time?
Yeah, I reckon. Everyone wants to call me out. You ought to be the first.
Why me first?
Because you know you got me hog-tied and thrown. And what's the sense of keeping up the pretense?
Why would you want to?
I'm not worthy of you, Mercy.
Mercy. First time you called me that.
Yeah, and it should be the last.
Why?
Because if I let it stand and you let it stand, it changes a whole heap of things between us.
It doesn't change a thing, Dan Bowles. It just gets it out in the open. And about time. I am just not going to wait around any longer. And if you can't speak up for yourself, I will. I know you love me. Why don't you do something about it?
Mercy, you don't understand.
I don't want to understand. I just want you to tell me that you do.
It seems like I don't have to.
Well, you better. You kept me waiting long enough.
Oh, darling.
Wee. we'd better get on into town fast and round up that license. I may be a mite forward, but I still want to stay a decent woman.
The old buckboard was skimming over air. I knew I should turn it around and head back for the ranch and have my own showdown with Mr. Chalmers, but Mercy's eyes were shining. My heart was plumb ready to swell up and burst. We did have business in Miller's Junction. It was difficult to say goodnight, but finally Mercy went up to her room. I should have known better and gone to my own, but I thought a drink might clear my head. So I made the mistake of going to the bar.
Hey, bartender. Give me another blast of that rot gut and leave the bottle. Hey, join me, partner?
I buy my own, mister.
Oh, no offense. Just making a little play, Mr. Patterson. They tell me you're the ranch boss up at the Crown Inn.
What if I am?
Well, since you just rode in, I thought you might be looking to sign on some hands for the fall drive. Ooh, I'm ready, willing and able.
Well, you got a horse and gear?
Sure.
Where'd you ride last?
Up Oregon way. Lazy Key. Hey, wait a minute. You want the word on me when you look at who just walked in? Well, boy, if it ain't old Red Injun himself. Hey, Dan, old partner. It's Begley off the Lazy Q.
Hey, Faye. Great to see you. What you doing up this way?
Well, I run a drive up to Cheltenham and was on my way home. Oh, boy, it is good to see you, Injun Dan. Hey, you could put a word in for me with the boss here, maybe, huh?
Injun Dan, huh? That's your usual nickname?
Some places.
How come?
My father was a Cheyenne.
I knew it. I knew it. I could smell it the first time we met. A half-breed.
Hey, now, wait a minute.
Don't be so fast, Whitby. If you're looking for a job, don't mess between us. Want to ride out to Crown Inn tomorrow? I think I can promise you one. Sure looks mighty definite there's going to be an opening.
Hey, Dan. Dan, I see something wrong?
No, it's nothing more than I should have said long before this. Fake, you got to help me out.
Just ask.
I want to borrow your horse and get back to the ranch. And I want to ask you to escort a lady out to the Crown M tomorrow by buckboard. I didn't know just what I had in mind, only that I wanted to talk to Mr. Chalmers before Black Mike did, even if it meant riding through the night to get back to the ranch. As I got to the corral...
All right, hold it. Hold it right there, Injun.
What?
You get yourself a fighting gun like I told you.
Oh, it's you, Mike. No, I didn't.
Well, it's too bad. I'll tell you what. I got me 2 guns. No, don't you even move toward that rifle. I'll just fire one of my guns in the air and plug you dead with the other. Then I'll toss the other gun alongside you. There won't be no problem. An Indian don't have much rights in this country anyway. You're not getting mercy. Or this ranch. Or taking anything away from me, you understand? You better get ready to join your ancestors. I'm telling you, one man will never miss you now. Knowing what you are. That's Hale Chalmers. I never figured that.
You all right, Dan?
Well, yes, Mr. Chalmers, but...
I was awake. Pain was bothering me. I heard him, Mike, ride up. Then you, Helpful Leather, come out on the porch to see what in tarnation was going on. I couldn't let him kill you. I owe you that at least.
He meant to murder me.
Yeah, I understand his feelings. My own were the same.
What do you mean?
Now, I have a daughter, and I have a ranch, and I had a dream. I haven't long to live. When you found me half dead and set my leg and brought me home, I thought every prayer I ever made had been answered. I knew Mercy wouldn't stay east, that she had her roots back here. The ranch would be hers, but she needed a man to run it with her. And Mike Patterson, for all he wanted to be, was not the answer. It looked to me like you were. And it seemed to look that way to Mercy.
Mercy loves me, sir, as I do her.
She loves what she thinks you are, what I thought you were. not some sneaking, dirty, below-content half-breed.
You speaking for yourself?
Or any right-thinking American.
I dispute your title. One half of me is more American than any wish or dream can make you. But it's an argument don't make no sense. I guess there's only one answer now.
Get out while the getting's good.
Not for your sake, but for Mercy's sake.
Where's my daughter?
I left a friend of mine to escort her home. Don't worry. He's 100% not American, but white. I couldn't just walk out of Mercy's life without at least an explanation. So, riding my own horse and with Bakes on trail, I headed back for town. I was less than halfway there when I met them. The old buckboard swaying and lumbering as Bakes drove the horses full out.
Whoa there, boy. Now hold up.
Darling, are you all right?
I'm okay.
Oh, I thought you and Black Mike had tangled. Oh, Dan, I was afraid you might be dead.
No, not me.
Mike?
Your father shot him to save my life.
Oh, darling.
I never seen a man so stubborn in my life. Now, why don't you pack a gun?
Why don't you take your horse and ride on to the ranch, Bakes? There'll be more than one place for you there now.
But Miss Chalmers...
Dan can see me home safe.
Or, Mercy knows her own way.
Well, as you say. Dan, if what I said last night had...
Forget it, Bake. It had to come out. I should have made it clear long since.
Well, I just hope I didn't cause no trouble.
Well, I guess you know the truth by now.
You mean the awful truth?
Well, that depends on the point of view.
Well, my point of view is yours.
Yeah, but not your father's.
He has no right to think as he does. I love him, but he's wrong.
Yes, but that doesn't make me any more the right for you.
Well, there's one way to solve it all.
How?
Well, you wouldn't make a dishonest woman of me no matter how hard I've tried. Will you take me back to Miller's Junction and make me an honest one?
But your father...
Well, once it's all over with, it'll be too late for him to have any objections. Not that he has any right.
What do you mean?
That will be my wedding present to you, Dan. Or the best part of my dowry. I'll tell you on the way back to town.
If Mercy hadn't told me the whole story, I don't know if I ever would have gone through with it. But knowing the truth, I saw no reason not to, and we were married. The only thing I wouldn't do was run. I just had to make my peace with her father some way before we left, or at least let Mercy say goodbye to him. It was coming on to dusk by the time we set off back for the Crown M, and we were just going through a cut in the mountains when suddenly Mr. Chalmers showed up, loaded for bear. He drove his horse straight at us, stopping the wagon with a squeal and a groan, blocking the road as he got off.
Get out of that wagon, Injun.
Daddy, what are you going to do?
You stay out of this, Mercy. You get yourself a shooting iron yet, Injun Dan?
No, sir. Stay back, Mercy. Let me handle it.
Okay. I brought one for you. Here. Now go on, pick it up and defend yourself. I don't shoot any man without a weapon. Even an Injun who'll sneak behind my back.
Daddy, listen to
You
me.
pick it up.
No, sir. If you want to shoot me, I offer you no excuse. The blue stallion. Remember I told you the sign of death in my family.
Pick up that gun.
Watch out, sir. The stallion.
Are you all right, darling?
Yes, I'm all right. But my rifle. Why did you fire? He didn't shoot.
I fired at the stallion. What happened to Daddy?
Your father...
Did I shoot him?
My heart gave out. Been living on borrowed time.
Oh, Daddy, Daddy.
It's all right, Princess. I couldn't have lived with... Oh, do you, Mary?
Yes.
Oh, there's something I have to tell you. Why?
Daddy, I've known for years. Ever since Mother died. What does it matter? I loved you just the same, and I never knew him. You were all the father I ever wanted. But I am not ashamed of my Indian blood.
You've got to understand. I loved her. It wasn't her fault. She was taken against her will. I was proud to marry her, to give her child, but to give you her name. Dan?
Yes, sir.
I shouldn't have tried to put one man's guilt on all your race. Forgive me.
What's that?
The blue roan stallion.
Take care of the ranch. The crown him mercy. Don't worry about me. You'll carry me to rest.
Prejudice and bigotry die hard. A man like Hale Chalmers, for all his good points, could never have admitted that his daughter had other blood in her veins but his. But perhaps beyond the waters, where the great stallion carried him, he may find wisdom among his equals and learn to smoke with them the pipe of peace. I'll be back shortly. We're celebrating a bicentennial. 200 years ago, when our forefathers won their freedom, from the Missouri to the great mountain slopes of the West, the Indian and the buffalo roamed the central plains in freedom of their own. Today, both Indian and the animal he depended on for his life are almost extinct. Neither buffalo nor his hunter were able to adapt to a changing way of life. And yet, life is a constant change and challenge. Let's hope our America will continue, as it always has, to meet both challenge and change. Our cast included Tony Roberts, Rosemary Rice, Earl Hammond, and Joe Silver. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by True Value Hardware Stores. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Tonight's Mystery Theater was brought to you in part by ShopRite Supermarkets, where you get a lot more for a little less. The preceding program is furnished by CBS Radio.
This is Barry Farber.
The Mutual Broadcasting System, in cooperation with Family Theater Incorporated, presents Blue Memorandum, starring Lionel Barrymore. Ricardo Montalban is your host.
More things are wrought by prayer than this world dreams of.
Here is your Family Theater host for tonight, Ricardo Montalban.
We as parents sometimes think we can measure the happiness and security of our homes by the amount we spend on food or housing or clothing, or even by what we can spend on fun. No, it isn't how much we spend on our homes that determines the happiness of our families. It's how much we give of ourselves, what we give our children of the true values of life. These are the things that make a real happy home. And the greatest gift we can give our children is an understanding of the important and powerful part that our faith and trust in God play in our own lives. The best inspiration and example we can give them is the simple and sincere expression of that faith by the daily practice of family prayer. Family prayer is a sure way to happiness, security, and peace, a most vital and wonderful way, because it's God's way.
Now now, the Family Theater presentation of Blue Memorandum, starring Lionel Barrymore.
Now take words, for instance. Consider their inflection, their enunciation. A few simple words like good night. Maybe it was the way J.J. Rowland said good night that accounts for it.
Lemon, J.J.?
Yeah.
You were saying something about Johnson.
Johnson's the fourth chauffeur I've had in 3 months.
Yes?
And he's the most abominable one of the lot.
Fire him, darling.
I've already fired him.
Good for you.
He ran me into the thickest, foulest traffic I've ever seen. No excuse for it. I told Johnson, I told him exactly, explicitly, Route 57 was a bottleneck.
You'd think the dunce would learn.
20 minutes completely wasted in a crawling mass.
Stupidity.
Crass and stubborn stupidity.
And how about the contract, darling?
I swung the contract personally.
Good for you.
I don't know what I'm paying those monkeys for down in the office.
Who is it now, darling?
Bibbins.
Bibbins?
Edward J. Bibbins, my general manager.
Fire him, darling.
Bibbins tried to advise me on pig iron.
Wouldn't you know?
Tried to tell me I shouldn't pull a pig iron deal under the present market trend.
Oh, you showed him,
I
J.J.
pig ironed him. Trying to tell me about market trends.
Bibbins must be a dolt.
I don't know where he studied business administration, but if brains were altitude, that boob's 10 miles below sea level.
You made him see your point, though.
Listen, Ethel. When J.J. Rowland says do, it's done.
Good for you, darling.
Where's Millicent?
She's getting dressed. There's a birthday party. Oh, here she comes now.
Oh. Good evening, Millicent.
Good evening, Dad. Good evening, Mother.
Did you study your French today, Millicent?
No, Dad.
Why not?
It's that new tutor, dear. She's incompetent.
I'll get another tutor.
We've had 7 tutors this past year.
I got a better idea. Send Millicent to that bobolink on Bampton College.
But it's so far away, J.J.
Only 200 miles, a few hours trip.
Darling, would you like to go to Bobolink on Bampton?
Well, I don't know, Mother. I was hoping to stay near home this year.
Oh, it's a lovely school, Millicent. A very, very lovely college.
Oh, really? I don't want to go away, Mother.
What did you say? Are you questioning my decision?
Oh, it's not that, Jay. It's just that she is a bit young to send away to college. She's only 17.
I don't care if she's 70. Millicent?
Yes, Dad?
You're not a child anymore. You understand that.
Oh, Daddy, I was only trying to say that...
And you want to grow to be a lady someday? You want to make me proud of you, don't you?
Yes, Dad.
All right, then. Go to Bobolink on Bampton like a good girl and learn how to speak French. Mother and I'll have you home for your birthday. Now, you like that, won't you?
Yes, Dad.
Yes, girl. Now, you better run along.
Oh, Dad.
Yeah?
I'd like to go to Mary Scott's birthday party. Eddie Oliver promised to take me, and if it's all right with you...
Now, Millicent. I'm not saying that recreation isn't necessary. It's good. It has its place. But wasting time and a lot of parties is a different matter.
But, Dad, I haven't been to a party in 3 months.
Please, please, Millicent. It pains me to see you so headstrong when I say that you, a girl of your position, your background, rearing, and training, when I tell you that it's a complete waste of time to be running around with every Tom, Dick, and Harry to parties, I expect to be listened to. You understand?
Yes, Dad.
Perhaps you'd better go to your room, Millicent.
All right. Good night, Dad.
Good night, good night, good night.
Yes, maybe it was the way J.J. said good night that accounts for it. And consider 2 other words. Happy birthday. Maybe it was the way J.J. said happy birthday that accounts for it.
Sit down, gentlemen. Sit down, Bibbins. Gentlemen, I call this conference to remind you that we're supposed to be running an organization. At least I was always under the impression that J.J. Rawlins Incorporated was supposed to be an organization. Now, Bibbins.
Yes, sir?
Bibbins. In my absence, I've been made to understand that the gentlemen of the board commissioned you to close the Eddington contract.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It was imperative that we get the plant...
One moment, please, one moment. You purchased the plant.
As your representative, yes, sir.
On whose appraisal?
Why, on the regular licensed appraisers.
Yeah, sure. I'm employing you to tell me what the licensed appraisers tell everybody else.
Yes, but Mr. Rollins, under the circumstances, acting as I did as your purchasing agent, the only logical routine was
Routine? Don't talk to me about routine, Bibbins. I appraised that plant, I personally. I made it my business. You signed the papers for $40,000.
Yes, sir.
That plant's not worth $40,000.
Mr. Rollins, the licensed appraisers...
I don't give a tinker's toot about your licensed appraisers. You, Bibbins, you sold me down the river for at least $4,000.
Mr. Rollins, and gentlemen of the board, it may be that I've made a mistake. I'm merely trying to be, and I believe I have been, a competent manager in this.
I didn't ask for a speech, Bibbins.
But excuse me, sir.
We were discussing that Eddington contract.
I was coming to that. Now, as for this contract, I wish to say only this. I consulted the best real estate brains. I even went to the trouble to investigate 6 prior bank estimates. In my opinion, sir, $40,000 was the fair and equitable disposition.
Is that all you got to say, Bibbins?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now I'm telling you something. That deal doesn't go.
But the contract is signed.
I'll handle that contract, Bibbins.
Well, the courts can be pretty stringent.
Never mind the courts. Another thing, Bibbins.
Yes, sir.
One more mistake like that, and you'll be getting a memorandum.
Yes, sir.
You won't be the first. And you probably won't be the last to get a blue slip.
I see, sir. A blue...
That's all, gentlemen.
You were late tonight, darling.
Oh, that new chauffeur's worse than Johnson. Fathead can't read.
Mint sauce with your lamb, darling.
Yeah.
Another hard day at the office, I suppose.
Oh, so. I finally gave that parasite a going over.
That Bibbins creature.
Yeah.
Good for you. It's about time that you brought him to his senses, dear. I don't know why you tolerate such...
We tried to put on a sister act, too.
He
Some
did?
Sister. Yeah.
Wouldn't you know?
He said I was unfair.
The insolence. J.J., why do you stand for it?
I told him off. Don't worry. I said to him, Bibbins... Wait till you hear this, Ethel. It was inspired. I said, Bibbins, as far as I'm concerned, you've been nothing but an embolism in the artery of progress.
Oh, touche, darling.
Yeah, stopped him cold. Oh, you should have seen his face.
It floored him.
For the count.
I think that's so cute.
Embolism in the artery of progress.
J.J., you're a demon.
Then I straightened out that little contract detail, too. The Eddington plant I was telling you about.
You're buying it?
Oh, sure I'm buying it. Yeah, but not for $40,000. They thought they could scare me with the lawyers.
Oh, high-pressure stuff.
Yeah, can you beat it?
The cheap.
But I told them, when J.J. gets on the phone, they come to terms, and they come to terms fast.
They saw your point.
That's my point.
Oh, good for you.
I could break that Eddington outfit tomorrow morning if I wanted to.
Wouldn't you think they'd learn?
Human nature, Ethel, human nature.
But you'd think that people would...
People! As old J. Sr. used to put it, what can you expect from a pig but a grunt? People.
Oh, but by the way, it's Millicent's birthday.
Oh, that's so? How old is she now?
17. I thought it would be nice if we had her home for the entire weekend.
Oh, good. Where's she now?
Upstairs resting. I'll have Frida tell her to come down.
Yeah.
Yes, madam?
Millicent, Frida.
Yes, madam.
Say, who cooked this lamb?
Elsie.
Elsie.
She came yesterday. A Green Star Agency recommendation.
What's the matter with her?
I don't know, darling. You know how it is with the help these days.
Well, there is no excuse for a piece of meat like this. The stuff tastes as if it was basted with arsenic.
I did think it was a little on the dry side.
Get rid of her. See if you can't get a little civilization into that kitchen for a change. Get a mix master. I've got enough worry to the office without coming home to something like this.
There's some ham in the refrigerator.
I hate ham, Ethel. Now, you know that.
Hello, Dad. I didn't know you were home.
Oh, good evening, Millicent. Well, you look quite the student. Wearing glasses now?
Jay, it's her birthday. Wish her a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Millicent.
Thank you, Dad. And thanks also for the beautiful fur coat.
Fur coat? What?
The coat you bought her, Jay.
Oh, yes, the fur coat.
It's a beautiful coat, Jay. A cute mink. Got it at Bontella's.
Fine, good. Yeah, you needed the fur coat, Millicent.
Oh, really, Dad? It's the most beautiful coat I've ever seen.
Good, splendid. Well, how's school coming, Millicent?
Okay, Dad.
You put in a good day at the books?
Well, today... Mother told me to...
Her birthday, Jay. We thought we might have a little celebration, didn't we, Millicent?
And we're going to have a party tonight, Dad. Oh, wait, I'll bring in the birthday cake and let you see how lovely the frosting
That's
looks.
all right, Millicent. That's all right now. Don't bother. Matter of fact, I won't be here tonight.
Oh.
Got to look after a deal upstate.
I see, Dad.
Run along now and enjoy yourself.
Yes, Dad. Good night.
Happy birthday, darling. Wish her a happy birthday, Jay.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Millicent.
Yes, maybe it was the way he said happy birthday that accounts for it. Maybe. Or maybe it was that inflection in his voice when J.J. said, Bibbins.
Bibbins! You've bought 12 plywood monstrosities billed at $1,240.
Just a minute, Mr. Rollins. I think I know a good desk when I see one. And I can tell you that these are genuine White Mountain...
I don't care if they're genuine Pikes Peaks. Your responsibility around here, General Manager, is to see that we function as a going concern instead of subsidizing a lumber yard to the tune of $1,240.
All right.
This is just another example of your incompetence.
Mr. Rollins, I've worked for you for over 2 years. In that time, to the best of my knowledge, I've done a good job. If at any time I've consciously, deliberately failed to carry out your... Well...
We're talking about desks, Bibbins. I didn't ask for a backlog on your life.
Well, as for the desks, I bought them. I installed them. If you don't approve them, that's your privilege. All I'm trying to say is that you can't get good desks any cheaper.
I can't I? Well, Bibbins, let me tell you something. First of all, those desks are going out of here tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight. And another thing, Bibbins. I want to teach you one more lesson in the art of business administration. Take a good look at your own desk tonight, Bibbins. Maybe you'll find something there that'll interest you.
Is that all, sir?
That's all, Bibbins.
Did you have a hard day, J.J.?
Oh, routine. I got rid of that boob at last.
You mean that horrible bookkeeper you were telling me about?
No, Bibbins. I fired him.
Well, I should say it's about time you asserted yourself, darling.
I told him.
I suppose he tried to raise the usual objections?
What objections could he raise?
How do you do it, darling?
Simple. Slap him with a memorandum and sign it J.J. Rollins. The wheels turn when they see that blue slip.
Oh, J.J. J.J., you're marvelous. Really you are.
Yes, sir. When J.J. says do, it's done.
Want me to take it,
No,
darling?
I'll get it. Yep.
J.J. Rollins?
Speaking.
Can you locate some ready cash?
Ready cash?
Right. Cash in a hurry.
Who talking?
I'm asking you the questions. Can you locate some ready cash?
I don't like your tone, mister.
Well, you're going to like my tone, Rollins. You're going to like it with no questions asked. I want cash, and I want it in a hurry.
Look here. What are you trying to do?
You've got a daughter, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Well, she's up. She's supposed to be up at some fancy college. Bobolink on Bampton?
Yes, I sent her there. Oh, now wait a minute.
Now you're getting the idea, Rollins.
Do you mean to say
I
that
didn't say anything.
Where's my daughter? Where is she?
I'll ask the questions you understand.
I warn you, if anything's happened...
I'll also do the talking, Rollins. Now get this straight. Don't you make any phone calls. I want no monkey shines. You follow my orders. I want $40,000 in a paper bag. A brown paper bag, and I want you...
What did they say?
No trace bird, Bobolink. She's been missing since this afternoon. The fools! What do they think I'm paying them for? They let her go off any time she wants to.
Jay, what'll we do?
Shut up! Let me think. Hello.
Mr. Rollins?
Yeah?
Mrs. Phillips of Bobolink speaking.
What about my daughter?
I'm frightfully upset, Mr. Rollins. We've continued to check all possible sources of information.
Yes. What'd you find out?
We have another witness, one of our girls here at Bobolink, who claims she saw Millicent enter an automobile this afternoon.
She got into a car this afternoon.
A blue or a black sedan. As for other details...
Well, whose car was it?
That we don't know. But we're continuing to check all possible...
There you are. Missing for hours and nobody knows anything. Nobody reports anything.
I can't stand this much longer, Jay.
I'll sue that college. I'll drag him into court just as sure... Hello.
Rollins?
Oh, it's you.
About that 40,000.
Where's my daughter?
Don't ask questions, Rollins. I'll do the talking.
What do you want?
I want you to make it 50,000.
But you can't...
I said 50,000, you understand?
If anything has happened to my daughter, I'll...
Easy, mister. Talk like that can make a fella nervous.
All right now. All right, what do you want?
I want 50,000, I just told you.
All right.
And I want it in a manila envelope.
You said a brown paper...
Follow instructions. I said a manila envelope. Do you understand?
Yes. I'll do anything you want. Only tell me where my daughter is. Where is she? What's happening?
Quiet, Rollins. I can't afford to waste any time on this phone.
Yes, sir.
Right now, I don't want you to do anything except get that manila envelope ready.
All right.
And I want you to wait until you hear from me again.
Yes.
Did you do what I told you, Rollins?
Yes. Where do you want me to deliver them?
Everything's on the up and up.
Yes. I'll pay you anything. Only get my daughter here.
You'll get final instructions at 7 o'clock tonight.
All right. Please, mister, give me a break, will you? My wife, my daughter. But, wait a minute. Please don't hang up now. 7 o'clock.
What did he say, Jay?
7 o'clock. We got to wait till 7. It's 5 minutes past 7. Why doesn't he call? I got everything ready. Money, the envelope. Why doesn't the phone ring?
What's the matter, Jay? What's holding him? He said 7.
I don't know, Ethel. Oh, please don't keep asking me questions. I don't know where I am. Stop bothering me, will you?
But he said 7. 7 o'clock, and it's 8 minutes past.
Will you be patient? You just sit there and be quiet. We have to wait, that's all. We just have to wait. Further instructions. That's what he said. Maybe we'll have to wait another 50 or 60 minutes. Maybe another 50 or 60 days. I don't know.
I wish you'd do something. It's waiting.
I'm doing everything I can. All I can do is follow orders. Oh, for heaven's sake, Ethel. I don't know what I'm thinking. That phone. Why doesn't it ring?
The door, Jay.
Yes, I'll get it. Simon, just a minute. This door locked. Oh, it's you, Millicent.
Hello, Dad.
Millicent, my baby.
What are you crying for, Mother?
You all right, Millicent? You all right, aren't you? You're not hurt? The man didn't... That man who drove you here, where is he?
He just drove away in his car. He didn't want to come in.
Well, who is he? What's his name?
Oh, I can never remember his name, and I didn't like to ask him. But you know him, Dad. He works for you.
Works for me? What's he look like?
Oh, middle-aged, thick glasses, and sort of bald.
Wait a minute. Wait. Thick glasses and a slight scar along his chin?
Yes, that's the man.
Bibbins.
He's one of the nicest men I've ever met, Dad.
Why, that criminal? I'll have the police.
Just a second, please, Jay. You say Mr. Bibbins took you away from Bobolink this afternoon.
Well, he didn't take me exactly. He drove by the college this afternoon and asked me to hop into his car. He said you wanted to see me because there was a big surprise at home.
Millicent, how could you?
Oh, but Mother, he was always so kind to me at Dad's office.
I'll have that moron in jail in less than 24 hours. So help me. I'll get the police.
What in the world is the trouble, Dad?
Do you know that you have almost been the death of your father, Millicent?
Oh, Mother, I'm trying to tell you. I merely thought that...
Didn't you have sense enough to see through Mr. Bibbins?
I don't know what you mean.
You sat there in the car and let him take you. A man who's almost a stranger. You let him take you wherever he wanted to go.
Oh, Dad, please believe me. Mr. Bibbins is a kind man. I know he's kind. I knew he was taking me home. Didn't you expect me? Maybe he does have a peculiar sense of humor. He gave me this for you.
What is it?
It's a note. Some kind of message.
For me?
Mr. Bibbins said I should give it to
What
him.
is it, J.J.?
It's a memorandum.
Read it.
Says, there wouldn't be any use telling my name. You wouldn't want to remember me anyway.
You wouldn't want to remember me anyway. I happen to be only another number in your files. That's about all any of us were, J.J. Just numbers in your files. You remembered only numbers. I don't think you ever really got to know people. The fellows and the girls who worked with you and for you. Looking back over all the weeks, the months that I spent in your employ, I can say this now. The office was swell, J.J. The workers, the fellows and the girls in the office, they were friendly, kind, a great gang. And the wages were good. There's no kick there. It was only you, J.J. You're a man of distinction, your friends say. But you ranted and bullied, J.J. Oh, sure, I took orders. When you have a wife and kids to support, when you have bills to pay and a house to keep going, you learn how to take orders, your kind of orders. And then you broke me with a blue slip. A blue memorandum. My services were no longer required. Okay, J.J. Now I'm giving you a memorandum. I had my innings, too, for a few hours today. I had you taking orders, and you took them. And why? Because for the first time in your life, you had something else besides numbers to worry about. Your daughter's a sweet girl, J.J. I hope you never stick that kid in the miscellaneous file. And I hope you remember this. Numbers don't sweat and bleed and cry for you. People do those things. People. And this is my memorandum to you.
This is my memorandum to you. P.S. Give my love to Millicent.
Dad, you're a scream.
You like the way I tell a story, Millicent?
That's the funniest story I've heard in years, Dad.
Yeah, you're marvelous. You're a genius.
Speaking of geniuses, Ethel, I must tell you about my special genius. Splendid worker. Magnificent instincts.
Who is he, darling?
Bibbins.
Oh, he's back again.
Of course, he's back again. When J.J. says come, they come.
Bibbins is the swellest guy, Dad.
Oh, good old Bibbins.
Yes, maybe it was the inflection of J.J.'s voice when he said Bibbins that accounts for it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am not posing as an authority on human relations when I say there is a nice capacity in people for being kind. It's a virtue, really. It means being helpful and considerate. In the truest sense of the word, it is actually loving our neighbor. And that's important. It's fundamental, elementary procedure, as J.J. would put it. And it's the procedure that J.J. forgot for a time. You know, we'll never be able to solve the real problems until we stop talking about numbers, about majorities and minorities. We'll never solve our domestic, social, even economic problems until we get away from numbers and get back to flesh and blood, back to people. Our country takes in just about everybody. It takes in all the segments of the land, high and low, rich and poor, capital and labor, all one family. To work together, all of us, as one big family should be our ideal. And there is no better way to reach these ideals than to work together and pray together. To pray not only as individuals, but as a family. It's important, family prayer. For families that pray together, stay together. Before saying good night, I would like to thank Lionel Barrymore for his performance as J.J. Our thanks to Timothy Mulvey for writing tonight's play. and to Max Turr for his music. This production of Family Theater Incorporated was directed by David Young. Others who appear in tonight's play were Lila Webb, Howard McNear, Barbara Fuller, and Nancy Shields. Next week, our Family Theater star will be Mark Stevens in The Hound of Heaven. Your hostess will be Joan Caulfield. This is Ricardo Montalban saying good night, and God bless you.
This series of the Family Theater broadcast is made possible by the thousands of you who felt the need for this kind of program, by the Mutual Broadcasting System, which has responded to this need, and by a friend of the New York Foundling Hospital, which cares for homeless and motherless babies without distinction of race, creed, or color. Join us next week at this same time when our Family Theater star will be Mark Stevens. Joan Caulfield will be your hostess. Tony Lafrano speaking. Remember, next Sunday, September 28th, daylight saving ends for this year. For those of you who are on Standard Time, Family Theater will come to you 1 hour later. For exact time in your community, consult your Mutual station or newspaper radio listing. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. How the poets like to talk about the disastrous intervention of the completely unexpected. A sudden gust of wind, a flash of light, the unforeseen, the accidental. We're playthings, puppets dancing in the wind. But although we pay the piper, do we really call the tune?
You must pay those people, Paul. You must.
Relax, baby. I have every intention of paying.
Tomorrow. Do it tomorrow.
Absolutely. I'm getting the money tonight. Come on, relax. It's only $9,000.
No, it's 10. It was 9 last week. Every week you delay costs you $1,000.
Our mystery drama, Death is Blue, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dan and stars Francis Sternhagen. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and True Value Hardware Stores. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
It is a magic moment. You are at your Buick dealer's, about to drive home in your brand new Buick LeSabre. It's lean and trim, classic line. It looks quite unlike any full-size Buick you can remember. You get in. A heady new car smell surrounds you. Your LeSabre feels the way it looks, tight. You turn the wheel a little. No wasted motion in this car. Big brushed metallic gauges look back at you. That V6 engine is doing great. You rub your hand on the seat. 6 people could be really comfortable in here. You swing into your driveway. Your wife, the kids, the dog, everyone but the parakeet descends in the car and gets in. Off you go to nowhere in particular. Life and your new LeSabre are great. Maybe the dog shouldn't sit on the seats.
Those times when everything seems to go just perfectly, but it doesn't last long. Something, somewhere, somehow arises, and things go back to being normal again. Let us begin in the office of Julia Hoffman. Who is Julia Hoffman? Well, she's a private detective. Well, not a private eye like Dashiell Hammett's Sam Spade, or Raymond Chandler's Philip Marlowe, or even Earl Stanley Gardner's Perry Mason. But she has her points, Miss Hoffman.
The gentleman's name was Edward Everett Bascom III, and he looked it. He was between 35 and 40, tall, rather handsome, in a somewhat dissipated way. A splendid physique was beginning to show the ravages of good food, strong drink, and easy living. He was extremely nervous and very much ill at ease. But those are the kind of people we get.
May I inquire your fee?
Of course. $150 a day.
$150?
Plus expenses.
Well, isn't that rather high?
You would pay an automobile mechanic or a plumber between $15 and $20 an hour. Which is more important, your kitchen sink, your car, or the problem you have brought into my office?
I need your help.
Exactly how may I help you, Mr. Bascom?
It's a delicate matter. It involves my sister, Matilda Bascom, my spinster sister.
Yes?
She's about to make an awful mistake.
Yes?
A tragic mistake.
By doing what, Mr. Bascom?
By getting married.
I take it you don't want her to get married.
Not to Paul Darrow.
You spell that?
D-A-R-R-I-E-U-X.
And what's wrong with Mr. Darrow?
He's a liar, a thief, a scoundrel.
You have proof?
Miss Hoffman, he has to be.
Why?
Well, this is the delicate part. I have here a photograph of my sister. An 8x10 portrait so that you may see her clearly.
Yes?
It's in color, you notice.
So?
Speaking forthrightly, could she appeal to a man?
Obviously she has.
Miss Hoffman is after my sister's money.
Why do you insist?
Isn't it obvious? Oh, don't get me wrong, Miss Hoffman. She's my older sister. I adore her, but I face reality.
And what is reality?
Reality is that she is not an attractive girl. I mean, woman. She's almost 40. And she's very plain. The birthmark, that hideous birthmark.
Hideous?
Well, I'm trying to speak frankly.
I hope you never said that word to your sister.
I would die first. I'm being, as I said, frank.
You may be overdoing it.
You can see that blue birthmark. It covers her entire forehead and practically half her right cheek.
And it offends you?
It doesn't offend me. I'm just stating a fact.
Well, obviously it does offend you.
Well, I cannot pretend it doesn't exist.
What is it that you require of me?
I want you to prove that Paul Darrow is after her money. That Paul Darrow is either a criminal or possesses a criminal record. I want you to prove that to her.
Mr. Bascom, how much money does she have?
Each of us inherited $500,000 from our father.
I see. Do you still have your $500,000?
Is this question germane to our discussion?
Do you?
Well, no. I've had some reverses of a temporary nature.
But she still has all of hers.
Yes. Now, Miss Hoffman, I assure you I'm not thinking about the money.
You're not?
I love my sister. I want more than anything in this world to see her happily married, fulfilling her destiny as a woman. But I'm realistic. And therefore, I want you to get printed proof of the fact that Paul Darrow is or was a criminal.
Do you have a picture of Mr. Darrow?
Yes, he's given several to Matilda.
I assume your sister lives with you.
She does.
And does Mr. Darrow ever visit your home?
Much too often.
Good. Then you may even be able to secure a fingerprint. Now then, why spend money to hire me when you can quite easily handle the entire affair yourself?
Myself?
Gather as much information as you can about Mr. Darrow. Go to the district attorney. Tell him you have reason to believe that your sister is about to be victimized by a suspected confidence operator.
But
His office will do all the work.
I don't know the district attorney. I couldn't ask for a favor.
Your taxes pay his salary. You're entitled to it. That's exactly how I'd go about it. Mr. Bascom, I'm trying to tell you that the district attorney and every other officer of the government is your paid servant. You need not hire intermediaries.
It's more than that. Well, it's a matter of presenting the facts to Matilda.
Presenting them? Well, why should that be a problem?
Well, I thought a professional detective who is also a woman would have the proper tactful approach.
In other words, since you are unable to behave like a brother, you want to hire me to act like a sister.
Could you start immediately? She's so infatuated, she may decide to run away with him at any time.
Every now and then, one just drops into your lap. This makes up for the ones that fall on your head. But it was so easy, so unbelievably simple. Let's see, Mr. Bascom came into my office with his problem at 9:30 in the morning. At 10:15, I was in the office of an assistant district attorney. At 10:16, he said to me,
Julia, that's pretty Paul Deroux. What's he up to this time?
he wants to get married.
I bet she's rich.
Rich enough.
And ugly.
No woman is really ugly, Tom. Just unfulfilled.
You know, he's a specialist.
In what?
Separating women from their money.
Is there a sheet on him?
Oh, as long as your slender, lovely arm.
At 11:15, I phoned Mr. Edward Everett Bascom.
Yes, Miss Hoffman?
I have the information you asked for.
Proof? Proof of that man's criminal record?
Yes, Mr. Bascom. Proof.
So soon? When can you bring it to me?
Anytime you say.
Now.
At 11:45, I was in the Bascom living room. I showed Mr. Bascom the dossier on Paul Darrow. He was overjoyed. He didn't even grimace when he wrote out my check. And then the door opened. She came into the room. She was tall like he was, well-built like he was. She resembled him so closely, it was obvious they were brother and sister. She had the kind of face which makes a man handsome and a woman plain. And, of course, the birthmark. It covered her forehead and most of her right cheek. It was a violent, angry, livid blue.
You wanted to see me, Ed.
Yes, Matilda. May I present Miss Julia Hoffman?
How do you do? How do you do?
Miss Hoffman is a detective.
Oh, I do hope there's nothing wrong.
A private detective.
Oh, I see. Am I to assume that you hired her in my best interests?
Well, yes, Matilda.
Then would you excuse yourself and leave me alone with Miss Hoffman?
Well,
I'm sure you already know what she's come to tell me.
Yes, but
I would like to speak with Miss Hoffman privately.
All right. Of course.
In that envelope, Miss Hoffman, I'm sure you have proof that my fiancé has a criminal record.
Then you know about it.
Of course.
He's been in jail once, 10 years ago. Sold a widow's stock in a non-existent corporation. He's been connected with several confidence schemes since.
I'm aware of all of them.
He claims to be a salesman, but in fact, he has no visible means of support.
That's not true. His support is quite visible. It's me.
Miss Bascom, I was hired to present you with certain facts. I have done so. I will leave these papers here.
Thank you. But I intend to marry Paul Darrow in any event. Would you like to know why?
Obviously, you're in love with him.
Exactly. Now, you understand that. Why can't my brother?
All your brother can see is a man who's out to steal your money.
Oh, but that's true enough. Well, I don't object to it.
Why not?
Because he's going to give me my money's worth. Do you understand?
Yes.
I believe you really and truly do. I like you, Miss Hoffman. You're a kind, sensitive woman.
I watched you as I walked into the room. I watched the expression on your face. I'm an expert at watching people's first reaction to me. Your face was frank, open, friendly, as if there were nothing at all wrong with me. But there isn't. Oh, there is. I have this absolutely hideous birthmark, this dreadful blue...
Miss Bascom, if it's so traumatic, you could have it removed.
This is an age of medical miracles, but not for everyone. Not for me. So I've learned to live with it. Not live, exist. I became reconciled to doing without companionship, love, the things that make life worthwhile. You understand?
Yes.
And then Paul Darrow happened along. And a whole new world opened up for me. He wants to marry me. Now, you may ask, would he wish to marry me? Would he even look at me if I were poor? And I answer, certainly not.
A marriage without love.
Oh, that's a platitude. That's a slogan. You can sympathize with my condition, but you cannot know how it feels to live inside my skin. I'm repulsive, Miss Hoffman, but I'm a woman and I want love.
Even if you have to buy it.
On any terms, Miss Hoffman.
But love...
Love, for you, Miss Hoffman, is the love of the poets and the philosophers and the dreamers. Love can come to you at any time, in any place, in any chance encounter. Love, for me, is whatever I can get, whenever and wherever I can get it. And besides...
Besides?
I have so much love to give. I've been hemmed in, shut off, repressed for so long that I will love him with all of my being, the way no one has ever loved him. And he may even fall in love with me.
I wish you the very best, Miss Bascom.
Well, no, I don't think that will happen. What will happen? He'll squander my money. And when it's gone, he'll leave me.
And you still feel it's worth it?
Oh, yes, oh, yes. May I ask you a favor?
Of course.
I have very few friends. Well, actually, none at all. And I was wondering, may I ask you to be the maid of honor at my wedding?
Well...
Oh, I'd pay you for your time.
Oh, now, please, Miss Bascom, please don't spoil it.
You're all invited to the wedding. Who knows what kind of wedding this could turn out to be? Certainly, you must admit it differs from most weddings, since both parties are entering upon this matrimonial venture with their eyes wide open. All we know about the bridegroom so far is that he specializes in separating women from their money. One way or another, this may turn out to be a very short marriage. I shall return in a few moments with Act 2. Marriage has many pains, but celibacy has few pleasures. So said Samuel Johnson. The reason we quote Mr. Johnson here is because he was married to a grotesquely homely woman, and yet he truly adored her. We're about to meet a gentleman, Mr. Paul Darrow, on his wedding day. He, too, is about to marry a woman who may be considered unattractive, and it will be interesting to see how he will cope, if that's the word. The story is being told by a private detective named Julia Hoffman.
And so they were married. It was a small affair held in the bride's home, where she was reluctantly given away by her brother. I thought she looked positively radiant. The groom, Paul Darrow, was a slender, handsome man. To me, he looked like a confidence operator. But then again, I'm a detective, and we do tend to take a dim view of things and people. It's an occupational hazard. We're not always right.
Miss Hoffman?
Congratulations, Mr. Darrow.
You disapprove of me, don't you?
And you know why.
Yes. You're a detective, and you checked me out.
You're a hunter of women, Mr. Darrow. And what chance did vulnerable, defenseless Matilda have against you?
Not at all.
Then we understand each other.
No, not completely. If all I wanted was Matilda's money, I could do better elsewhere.
Really?
Oh, she's comfortably well off, but she's not fabulously wealthy. Do you understand?
No.
At first, it was all a play for her money. But then...
Let me finish. You gazed into her eyes. An emotion you never knew before took possession of your heart, your mind, your soul. For the first time in your life, in your wasted, misspent life, you fell in love.
Yes, that says it.
I'm disappointed. I would imagine you'd have a better line than that.
The truth of the matter is I don't. What you just said, the old tired, for the first time, my darling, I know love, true love. That old chestnut. That's the way it is.
What are you trying to tell me, Mr. Darrow?
Well, I'm in love with her. Oh, yes, it defies logic and all understanding. But I am in love with her.
Are you telling me, Mr. Darrow, that the leopard has changed his spots?
I have been redeemed by Matilda Bascom.
Is that a fact?
Oh, you're a most charming and attractive woman, Miss Hoffman, but you're a cop. And you have the mentality of a cop. The cynical, suspicious, skeptical attitude of a cop. Once a thief, always a thief. That is your motto, isn't it?
Well, it may sound hard and even unfair, but unfortunately it's supported by the record.
Oh, there you are. Oh, I hope you two get to know each other, like each other. Julia, isn't he wonderful?
Well, he certainly fills me with wonder. A detective, by the very nature of the job, sees people at their worst, and after a while, begins to suspect the worst in everybody. Why? Why couldn't I give Paul Darrow the benefit of the doubt? At least I should be grateful to him. Right or wrong, I was becoming cynical, suspicious, skeptical. It certainly was doing nothing to improve me as a human being. Paul and Matilda Darrow went off to live in a house at North Beach. Matilda kept inviting me out there. But one thing and another kept coming up. Almost a year had gone by when, guess who walked into my office about guess what?
He's about to drain her of every last cent she has in the world.
You know this for a fact.
Miss Hoffman, I wouldn't come here to buy your valuable time if I didn't know it for a fact.
And what is the fact?
I received a call from her broker, Emil Morgan. Emil's upset, as he should be, as I am. She told him to cash in $100,000 worth of municipal bonds.
Mm-hmm.
He asked her why. She said she wanted the money. He asked her why she wanted so much cash. She wouldn't tell him. So, I asked her. She said Paul had an excellent business opportunity. She used the word excellent, not me.
Well,
what do you mean, well? Isn't it obvious? He's simply going to steal that money from her.
Probably.
Well, how can you sit there and say probably?
What else is there to say about it?
But, why, she should be...
She should be what?
Well, told about it.
She knows about it. She's even more aware of this man's basic character than you are.
How do you know?
She told me.
She told me, too.
Then let's face reality, Mr. Bascom. She has taken a flyer in romance. She knows she's buying worthless stock. She knows she's buying the glitter and not the gold. But she's getting a terrific dividend of happiness while it lasts.
Oh, that's nonsense.
I can see her point. Well, not necessarily agree with it, but see it and understand it.
Just because you're a woman, Miss Hoffman, don't think you have a monopoly when it comes to understanding a woman's emotions.
Mr. Bascom, why is this a matter for a private detective? What can I tell Matilda about her husband that she doesn't already know?
You can tell her that he's got another woman.
Does he?
He must.
Can you state that as a fact?
Absolutely.
Well, who is she?
I don't know who she is. I only know she exists.
How do you know?
She has to. He has to have another woman.
But you have no evidence.
Evidence. All right. That's why I've come to you.
Why are you so sure?
Because I know the Paul Deroes of this world. I know them very well. It's quite possible that Paul Deroe was truly in love with my sister.
You admit it.
That was a year ago, but by now he is tired of her. It has nothing to do with her disfigurement, that awful blue birthmark. Even if she were Miss America, she'd begin to bore him. So find out who the other woman is. Get me the evidence.
You'd be amazed, or would you, how much of this work is cut and dried. Get me the evidence. How? As they say in the movies, put a tail on Paul Deroe. In the beginning of my career, I myself would be the tail. But now, however, I hire people. Yes?
It's Jerry here. I got your boy, Julia.
Where?
Little joint on West 3rd.
Alone?
With a babe.
What kind?
I don't know, but this dame is stacked.
Do they know each other well?
Julia, they can't seem to keep their hands off each other. Know what I mean? It's disgusting. Can't they do all that in private?
The joint on West 3rd was a quiet, dimly lit place where people went in order to be alone together. There was a piano bar, and the man played pretty, dreamy music. Most couples sat around in booths and concentrated their conversations on each other. Paul Deroe and his attractive female companion were too taken up with themselves to notice me. I slipped into an empty booth directly behind them.
Oh, baby, there's nothing to worry about.
I know, sugar. It's just I don't see you enough.
I know. But I have to go home.
Home?
And it won't be for too much longer.
Oh, that's what you said last month.
You can't leave the goose while she still lays golden eggs.
Oh, you were supposed to have your hands on that money last week.
Well, baby, it has to be done with finesse.
Why? Why not just grab the money and walk out? Well, you have to get that money. You have to.
I'm aware of it.
I don't think so, honey. You already owe some of that dough.
Oh, I know. It's only $9,000.
That was last week. This week it's 10. I told you, those guys have a wild way of figuring interest.
The bonds are due to be delivered tomorrow.
Grab them and run.
And here's a photograph of the two of them.
There can be no doubt about their relationship. How did you get this picture?
That's not important.
Oh, but it is. It shows her darling husband practically making love to this woman in public.
True. Now, do you know what I suggest you do?
You don't have to. I know exactly what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to drive out to North Beach first thing in the morning.
Take my advice. Burn the picture.
Burn it?
Forget it.
Are you insane? I intend to expose this man for what he is.
He'll do that himself when he runs away with her money.
What do you mean when he runs away with her money?
Paul Deroe is a desperate man. He's in the hands of the loan shark.
That's his problem.
If he doesn't pay off, they'll kill him.
I'll shed no tears.
But Matilda will.
I know my sister now. She'll take anything from him except another woman. She'll throw him out.
And she'll hate you for the rest of her life. This is a lesson she has to learn for herself. The only lessons of lasting value are the ones we pay for. $100,000 is a good price.
I can't believe you're serious.
You know I'm right.
Are you saying that we should permit this man to steal $100,000?
He worked for his money?
I can't believe we're having this kind of a conversation. I will not let that man take $100,000 from my sister.
You haven't been listening. I told you Paul Deroe is a desperate man. His life is on the line here. If she refuses him, he's capable of turning on her. He could kill her for that money.
What are you saying?
Believe me, Mr. Bascom. I know your every instinct rebels against it, but don't interfere. Don't risk her life. Pay the price, and you're both out of it.
Pay the price. Suddenly, we're able to place a figure on the value of a human life. And the advice is practical. But can Edward Everett Bascom take it? It certainly goes against the grain to permit a swindle. Can he be depended on to swallow his pride, choke down his anger, and eat his words? I don't know. I shall return shortly with Act 3. Truly good advice is seldom welcome, and those who need it most appreciate it least. Private Detective Julia Hoffman is in the business of giving advice. She has just delivered some very hard-to-take counsel to a gentleman who has been resisting her every step of the way.
You know I'm right. Her safety should be the first consideration.
And we're just going to let this fellow walk out with $100,000?
Yes, and he's gone forever.
And so what's going to happen?
From what I understand, her broker can't stall her off any longer. He'll have to deliver the cash for the bonds tomorrow or the next day.
And then?
You know, and then. She'll give him the money, presumably to invest in his new business.
And he'll walk out the door with it, never to be seen again.
That's correct.
Well, that goes against the grain, but... All right. You're correct. I won't say a word to her. Let's be rid of him. One way or another, let's be rid of him.
That was on a Tuesday afternoon. On Tuesday evening, I spoke to Matilda on the telephone.
Julia, what a pleasant surprise.
How are things, Matilda?
Oh, wonderful.
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm happy, Julia. Really and truly happy.
Then that's all that counts. How is Paul?
Oh, he's marvelous.
Good.
He's all excited and optimistic.
Really?
Yes, he's got a chance to buy into a fabulous business.
And you're going to give him the money for it.
What else is my money for?
What else, indeed?
Now, Julia, I know you're skeptical about Paul.
Well...
But he's changed. Maybe marriage has changed, and maybe I changed him. But he's a new Paul, a different Paul. Oh, Julia, how is it possible to be so happy?
I never spoke to her again. 5 days later, I was called in to see the district attorney.
You knew Matilda DeRoe, didn't you?
Knew Matilda?
She's dead. Murdered.
No.
Yeah, brother's been trying to reach her all week. Couldn't get her on the phone, so this morning he drove out to her place in North Beach. She's gone.
Gone, but that doesn't mean she's dead.
There was a struggle. He found bloodstains.
You're sure?
Gone also an envelope with bearer bonds worth $100,000. Gone also friend husband in the Frascati sports car she'd bought him for his birthday.
How was she killed?
Oh, that we don't know. We don't have the body. A neighbor, Mrs. Manson, said that at twilight yesterday she saw Mr. DeRoe carrying a huge sack down to the dock.
A huge sack? And she wasn't suspicious?
Of what? They have a cabin cruiser. At that time, she thought DeRoe could have been taking supplies down to the boat.
And that's all you've got?
Well, this Mrs. Matson heard the boat go out. About an hour later, she heard it come back. She saw DeRoe hurrying toward the house. She called out a greeting, but he just disregarded her. He seemed very nervous.
He didn't have the sack?
No, what we can assume is he weighted it down, took it out a ways, and dropped it overboard, where it can never be found.
It sounds right.
Of course. That's what we have to assume. If we can find Mr. Paul DeRoe and he tells us a more convincing story, well, that's what happened. What did you know about Paul DeRoe, Julia?
He's into the loan sharks.
Ah, then he had to have the money.
Yes, but why did he have to kill her? She was willing to give it to him. Unless...
Unless what?
I have to see somebody.
But I didn't tell her.
Then why did she refuse to give him the money?
I don't know.
The only thing that could make her angry enough would be if she found him unfaithful.
But I didn't tell her.
How do I know?
Because we agreed, you and I.
I don't trust you. You saw that 100,000 flying out the window, and it was too much for you.
I swear to you that I...
You didn't tell her. I didn't tell her. Then how did she find out?
I don't know, but I do know this. I want that animal found and brought to justice. I inherit what's left of her estate, and it's quite a bit. I'll spend every penny hunting that murderer down.
Mr. Bascom, let's back off and look at this thing from another perspective. How do we know you didn't kill her?
Me?
I spoke with her broker, Mr. Morgan. Unlike yours, which has been senselessly squandered, her estate has been carefully tended. It's grown to almost $1 million. You are the sole heir. This is an entirely reasonable conjecture. You could have killed her.
If I killed her, why did her husband disappear?
What do you want him to do? Who'd believe him with his record? He's running for his life.
Are you saying that I murdered my own sister?
I'm saying there are a number of possibilities.
But do you believe it?
At this point, I don't know what to believe. Can you tell me, Mrs. Matson...
What's it feel like to be a woman detective?
When was the last time you saw Matilda Darrow alive?
That's what I always wanted to be. But in my day, we didn't have this here women's lib. I seen her alive must have been 5 days ago.
5 days ago.
You get to use a gun. Or are you one of them brainy ones? You see, their house is separated from ours by them hedges, but when I'm sitting upstairs in my sewing room, I can see over to their property. They like to walk down across the lawn a lot to their dock, especially her.
But you say you haven't seen her in 5 days. When was the last time you saw him?
Right up to the other morning. The morning her brother come on out and called the police.
She was last seen on Friday night. Had Mr. Darrow been here all week?
Oh, yeah. He'd been keeping more or less to himself. He'd come out every afternoon, take a quick walk down to the dock.
It's been raining all week, hasn't it?
A little rain wouldn't stop him.
Thank you, Mrs. Matson.
Have you uncovered something?
Not yet.
Yes?
Miss Doralee Spurich?
The same.
May I come in?
Why?
Would you like to win $1 million?
What do I have to buy?
Nothing.
Who do I have to kill?
No one.
Come in. Let's hear your line, anyhow. So, how do I win $1 million?
First, tell me, what's $1 million worth?
No, you have to do the talking.
Is it worth your life?
Oh, sure.
Then I offer you the equivalent of $1 million.
What's this?
Where's Paul Darrow?
Who?
No, we can't waste time.
Oh, you look here.
You look here. Who? I don't know what you're talking about. All these things waste time. Look at this picture. At every detail from every angle. Mr. Paul Darrow is wanted for the murder of his wife. If you conceal or withhold any information concerning Mr. Darrow, you become an accessory, and it can mean life imprisonment.
But Austin...
I haven't finished. On the other hand, since I have my own way of knowing that you really didn't assist Mr. Darrow in the actual murder, why do you even have to be brought into it? Who has to know that you and Mr. Darrow have been intimate?
That's a lie.
Is it? Really? And recently. Now, where is he?
I don't know. And that's the truth.
Now, tell me more about the truth.
Okay. He was set to take his wife for $100,000. The sharks were swimming around him, so he was going to pick it up last week. And then he and we would take off.
Where?
Europe. The works. England, Paris, Rome. We'd have enough to live it up for a while. Well, he was supposed to pick up the dough Friday night and meet me here Saturday morning. He never showed.
Maybe he ran out on you.
I don't think so.
You mean your pride won't let you think so?
I think they killed him.
Who?
The sharks.
Why? He only owed them $10,000.
How do you know it was $10,000?
I know things. Why kill him? He had the money to pay off.
Maybe he had too much money. Maybe they saw the size of that roll and they figured, why not grab it all? So, he's under cement, under a garbage dump. Oh, he was a great guy when he had it.
Tom?
Yeah, Julia?
Anything new in the DA's office on the Darrow case?
We haven't been able to take a single step forward. Except for your angle on the loan sharks. We've run that down. It's true, he could be gone that way.
So he killed her for the money, and the sharks killed him for the money. Is that the way it could wind up?
Well, all the pieces would fit together. together neatly. Don't you buy it?
Could I have your permission to search the house at North Beach?
Oh, what do you expect to find?
You never know until you look.
Hello there, Miss Hoffman.
Oh, it's you, Mrs. Matson.
I noticed you poking around out here in the garbage.
Well, I'm wondering why there's so much of it.
These 2-3 cans full. You should come over and see mine. This is nothing.
Well, don't they collect garbage around here?
They do when they ain't on strike.
Oh. Well, how long have they been out?
Oh, 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
I noticed you took them 2 things out of the garbage can. Are they clues? That handkerchief and that thing that looks like a little round plastic disc. Are they clues?
Miss Hoffman.
May I come in?
Yes, of course. Is there anything new?
Yes.
What? Tell me.
Suppose you tell me.
Well, what can I tell you?
To begin with, where is your sister?
My sister, what are you talking...
You want to listen to my theory? It goes as follows. She discovered that Paul was cheating. She confronted him. What I don't know is, did she become so enraged at his infidelity that she killed him? Or did he become so enraged at the thought that she wasn't going to give him the money that he attacked her and she killed him in self-defense? Which was it?
Miss Hoffman, I won't hear any more of this.
Well, you might as well hear it all. I would prefer to think she was the one who got angry first. Anyhow, it was a struggle to the death. She killed him.
This is the most monstrous accusation.
It was a fit. It was frenzy. I don't even say she's not entitled to it. When it was over, she became panicky. She called you.
Are you saying that I...
Oh, come on, don't be ashamed of it. You worked out this plan.
You have no proof that she knew about his infidelity?
His handkerchief. This lipstick smudge. It wasn't hers. She doesn't wear any. You made sure to throw it in the garbage.
No, just a minute. For 5 days, after I could no longer reach my sister, he was seen walking about the grounds. By Mrs. Matson, the neighbor. She saw him.
From a distance. She saw your sister, Matilda, wearing Paul's clothes.
She saw Paul carrying that sack down to the dock.
Again, from a distance. In the rain.
But that birthmark, that livid blue birthmark, it's visible, noticeable from any distance.
The birthmark was hidden.
How could you hide that birthmark?
You see? I found a few of these in the garbage, too.
What are those?
These little discs. You know what they are. You brought them to her. To help her. This is a little container of that hypoallergenic theatrical makeup. Light flesh color. That's how she covered the birthmark. Mrs. Matson, seeing what she thought was the figure of a man, naturally assumed what you wanted her to assume, that it was Paul Darrow. That Paul Darrow was the one who was alive.
You can't prove any of this. What are you going to do with that handkerchief, that little disc?
I thought about that. It was thrown in the garbage. Ordinarily, it should never have been found. But there was a strike. Now, if I get rid of it, could I be accused of destroying evidence? What evidence? The police were all through the garbage. If it was considered evidence, they would have picked it up, wouldn't they? Well, it's your sister's garbage, still one of her possessions. Since you inherit her estate, I leave it with you.
Miss Hoffman,
Maybe what I've just said has absolutely no basis in fact. I do know that the police are content with matters as they stand. If my theory is correct, you will have to spend the rest of your life caring for, protecting your sister. Assuming she's alive. At any rate, I have no official standing. I see no purpose in pursuing the matter further.
Miss Hoffman, I want to say that.
No, Mr. Bascom. Neither you nor I must ever say another word.
And they didn't. And so, we don't know. We really don't know who killed whom. That is, we don't know officially. This story took place some years ago, and neither Matilda nor Paul were ever seen again. The official version is that Paul killed her, and the mob killed Paul. The mob. It really does come in handy sometimes, doesn't it? I'll be back in just a few minutes. People set such store by beauty, and yet some of the greatest women in history were either homely or possessed a very special kind of beauty. Joan of Arc was a scrawny, half-starved peasant. Even her flattering portraits show Queen Elizabeth I of England as pinch-faced and half-bald. Helen of Troy, by today's standards, she'd be rather fat. So it goes. Our cast included Frances Sternhagen, Marion Seldes, Bryna Rayburn, Ralph Bell, and Ian Martin. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by True Value Hardware Stores and Buick Motor Division. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
We present The Blue Cross, adapted by John Scotney, with Andrew Sachs as Father Brown.
Harwich and Parkson Docks and Harbour Board Key number 5, no admittance except on authorised business.
Oh, that's us, sir.
This can't be the plan. There's no one about.
No, there wouldn't be, not in this rain.
No, I mean a big passenger ferry. There'd be customs, porters, people milling about.
We are very late, Inspector.
Thank you, Sergeant. How was I to know there were 2 flipping harbours at Harwich?
Look, sir.
What?
There's someone.
What?
There with the parcels. And the umbrella.
Yeah, that is a Catholic priest, Sergeant, and therefore almost certainly a foreigner.
Oh.
Anyhow, he looks as lost as we are. Still, there's no harm in trying. Excusez, vous, monsieur, excusez-moi.
Oh, no.
May...
Pardonnez-me, monsieur. Je ne... well, that is, parliamo l'italiano.
Oh, God, what's Italian? You speak English?
English?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes, I am English. I thought you were French. Well, now, look, in that case, I wonder if you
I'm sorry, sir.
let's-
We're in a hurry. Do you know where we can find the ferry boat from Holland? We've got to meet someone off it.
Oh, well, yes, indeed. Now, you see that green funnel?
Green funnel, yes.
Over the shed there?
Yes.
Well, that's
yes.
it.
Ah, right.
Oh, but I'm afraid you've missed your friend.
What do you mean?
You see, I think... no, I'm certain I was the last one off. We docked an hour ago.
An hour ago?
Oh, this is very quick nowadays. Unlike the last time I came back from Rome this way, it was, well, it must have been 10 years ago. Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee in 1897.
Yes,
And
the next thing you know, we'll all be going by flying machine. Right.
Pardon?
Now, look, we better get to the train station quick. Come on, Sergeant.
No,
Oh, thank you very
train
much.
station. I was going to go to the...
Hurry up, please. Hurry along there.
Is this the boat train, Porter?
Yes, sir. Hurry up, though. It's going in a few minutes.
Oh, right. Well, we better get on the train and hope our man's on it.
Half I know, Inspector. Isn't this him? Here, by the ticket barrier. He fits the description. Boater, blazer, black beard.
Yes, right you are, yes. Excuse me, sir. Are you Monsieur Valentin? Monsieur Aristide Valentin?
I am.
Ah, I am Inspector Bagshaw of Scotland Yard. I've got my card here. Somewhere or other. This is Sergeant... what did I do with my card?
Inspector Bagshaw, you are extremely late.
Oh.
Fortunately, I managed to be the first off the boat and have been checking the passager. He has not passed.
Who exactly looking for, sir? Commissioner?
Not Commissioner. Prefect of Police, or to my men, Chef.
Chef, sir?
In France, it does not mean cook, Sergeant. No, the man is called Flambeau.
Flambeau?
It means the torch.
I knew that, yes.
His real name, they say, is Duroc. Maybe he has many names. He is a colossus of crime. Indeed, in the Paris underworld, he is all-powerful.
No.
I follow him from Paris to Gand to Brussels to Roland.
Yeah.
I am certain he is on the paquebot.
Oh, definitely.
All night, all morning, I search the passager. Nothing. But he is a master of disguise, this one.
Any particular disguise, sir?
Anything, Sergeant. Once he disguised himself as a postbox.
Sir?
Well, to be exact, he set up a false postbox and hid behind it to await a particular letter. Mostly, though, he is a priest.
Priest, of course.
It is said he once studied for the priesthood.
That priest we saw with the umbrella and the
Hang
parasol.
on, sir. That priest we saw.
I just said that, Sergeant.
No, sir. Look.
Huh?
Here he comes now. Through the entrance.
Strike me. Grab him. Arrêtez-vous. Arrêtez. Two, three. Oh, don't speak French, eh? Don't you, Monsieur Flambeau? Pick up that parcel, Sergeant, and watch out. It looks like a gun to me.
Be careful, please. I've got it. No, sir. No, it's a cross, sir.
This man cannot be Flambeau. He's somewhat on the short side, and Flambeau is somewhat more than 2 meters, over 6'4". And he is a magnificent athlete, almost an acrobat. While this gentleman...
Yes, I'm very sorry, Your Reverence.
Oh, no, please, it's quite all right.
What is this, Father? This cross? Oh, may I?
Oh, yes, please do.
Magnifique. Romanesque work. What, about 1160?
Yes.
The silver is worked so, and the stones. See, Sergeant, they must be sapphires. Uncut sapphires.
Nicked, is it?
Uncut. North French work?
Oh, yes. Yes, you see, it was supposed to have belonged to the Blessed St. Thomas.
Aquinas.
No, Beckett. Our English martyr, you know.
Yes.
And as I was coming back to work in London, I was asked to bring it from the papal treasury. It's for the exhibition in Canterbury. You may have seen the advertisement in the Catholic Times. Oh, yes.
Here, Father, you must take care of it.
Thank you.
It is valuable.
Yes, thank you.
These are, you say, precious stones.
Oh, precious, oh. Yes, well, that would be the word, precious. Yes, now, my train, you must excuse me. Thank you. Goodbye.
Au revoir.
Thank you.
Bon voyage, Father.
Well, that's it, I suppose.
Hey, wait a minute, sir. Weren't we supposed to get that train?
Was that the London train?
Merde. Oh, no. Porter.
Yes, sir.
When's the next London train?
One in half an hour, sir. But it's rather slow, I'm afraid.
Oh, yes, it would be.
Inspector, have you a cup?
Now, Porter, did you notice a very tall gentleman getting on the train dressed as a priest?
Or a postman?
Sergeant.
Sorry, sir, a priest?
Yes.
No, that gentleman's the only priest I saw. No, the only tall man was one of the sailors. Now, he really was tall. What? But I was the first from the boat. Why did I not see him?
You might have been the first passenger, sir. But any crew members who want to go to London, we always let them on the train early. Keeps them out of the bars, you see.
Why did I not think of the crew? Fool, I was on a ship. Yeah. So it has sailors.
One minute, Porter. That train is direct to London non-stop, is it?
Yes, sir.
Good. Where is your telegraph office?
Just at the end of the platform, sir. There, you can see it.
Right. I'm going to telegraph the railway police at Liverpool Street to tell them to hold that tall sailor.
At last, Liverpool Street Station. He was right about it being slow, that porter.
It is very flat, your East Anglia.
We'll soon know if they got him. Oh, no. No!
Oh, what is it?
What shall we do with it?
All right, thank you, Sergeant.
That must be the whole crew that constable's got there. They don't look very cheerful, do they, Inspector?
Constable?
Yes, sir.
I'm Inspector Bagshaw.
All present and correct, sir.
What on earth is going on here? I only wanted one sailor, not all of them.
Yes, sir. Well, we weren't quite sure which one you wanted, sir, so we thought it best to hold them all. I mean, none of them exactly fit your description. I mean, they're none of them what you'd call tall, are they?
No.
Sir.
Did any tall man get off that train? No, sir.
Well, I'll tell a lie. There was one very tall gentleman, but he wouldn't be. You won't believe this, sir, but he was a Roman Catholic priest.
Tell me about this priest.
Well, it was funny. Ridiculous, really. He was, like I said, very tall, and with him was this short,
plump,
little priest. Frankly, sir, I think the short one was a bit,
simple.
Yeah. He got into a terrible muddle with this brown paper parcel and his big umbrella. He dropped one parcel looking for his ticket. Worried him, it did. He burst open. And this
Blue Cross in it.
Yes, sir. That's when the tall one appeared. Came to the little one's aid. A nice gentleman, French, I think. They went off together. I didn't see which way they... Oh.
He changed.
On the train.
Before...
You can dismiss your naval review, Constable.
Yes, sir. Move along there.
I think I need a nice cup of tea. Monsieur Valentin?
Tea?
No. But perhaps a cup of coffee?
There's a tea room in the railway hotel, sir.
Yes, very well, Sergeant. Lead the way.
One black coffee and one large pot of tea.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, this is terrible, absolutely terrible.
Are you all right, sir?
Oh, don't worry, Sergeant. They're very emotional, the Latins. I'll handle this. Come now, Monsieur Valentin. We'll find him. The Metropolitan Police, finest police force in West...
Find him? Who? Flambeau? Oh, he's always escaping. No. I was complaining it was the coffee. In France, they warned me about English coffee, but this is unbelievable. I put sugar in, it still tastes awful.
Well, sir, you should have had tea. When in Rome, warm the pot, let it stand 3 minutes, put the milk in first... And now the tea. And finally, exactly 1.5 teaspoonfuls of sugar. Stir. And, cheers. Oh, it's terrible, absolutely terrible. It's poisoned.
I don't think so. When you were putting the sugar in, I noticed... Waiter! Sir? I want you to taste the sugar in that bowl.
Sir?
Go on, taste it.
Salt. It's salt. I'm most terribly sorry, gentlemen. May I just check? Yes, yes. There's sugar in the salt cellar.
Well, I demand to know who's responsible.
I do believe it must have been those two clergymen. The ones that threw soup at the wall.
Threw soup at the wall?
Yes, sir. You can see the mark over there. They came in earlier and had coffee. Both very quiet, respectable people. One paid the bill, and the other one dragged behind, and suddenly he threw some soup from a half-empty cup against the wall. And the funny thing was, one was very tall, and the other was very short. And he carried a big umbrella and some brown paper parcels. Yes, sir, exactly. Did you know that?
And it was the tall one who threw the soup?
No, sir, the short one. Oh. I went after them. They were too far off, though. I could just see them in the distance going round the corner into Carstairs Street.
Carstairs Street?
Out the front, right and then left. I know this.
Yes, Sergeant.
Keep the change.
Thank you very much, sir.
Get your pairs here.
Carstairs Street. But they must have left half an hour ago.
Somewhere a man must begin. Look carefully. Who knows? Perhaps some oddity that might have caught the eye of the pursued might also catch the eye of the pursued.
Speaking of oddities, sir, look at this greengrocer's store. Lovely apples. See, best tangerine oranges, 2 a penny. Finest Brazils, 4p a pound.
Yes, they are expensive, Sergeant, but I confess I don't see the relevance.
But, sir, the price tickets for the oranges has been put on the nuts, and the one for the nuts substituted for the ticket for the oranges.
And where have we met this highly subtle form of humour before? Excuse me, my good man.
Yeah?
There are 2 price tickets wrongly placed on your stall. I ask, is there some connection between these nuts and oranges? And 2 clergymen, one tall, the other short?
What? Oh, I didn't notice that. There. As for those clergymen, I don't know what you got to do with them, but if you're one of their friends, you can tell the short one I'll knock his block off if he upsets my apples again.
Yes, I'm Inspector Bagshaw. Here, my card. Well, where is it? Somewhere? And never mind. What's this about upsetting your apples?
It's not a police matter, Inspector. Huh? If you ask me, that little parson was drunk. He knocked over all my apples.
Did
you see which way they went?
Sergeant,
yeah, they
excuse
took
me,
one
did
of them,
you...
yellow horse omnibuses over there. They must go to Hampstead. It was just leaving, that's why I didn't catch them.
And so, shall we take one of those buses?
Well...
Come on, Inspector.
Wouldn't it be better to take a motor taxi, sir? It's 4 times as quick. Besides, I've never been in a...
That's quite true. If only we knew where we are going. If you know what a man is doing, get in front of him. But if you want to guess what he's doing, keep behind him. Here, we'll go upstairs.
I'm afraid it's not the time of year for an open bus stop. I'm sorry. All we can do is to keep our eyes skinned for some strange thing.
What sort of strange thing, sir?
Any sort of strange thing.
Wake up, Inspector. Oh, I'm sorry, I dozed for a bit. Oh, it's been a little bit of one tonight.
We will have, I think, very soon one of your famous London fogs.
Yes.
This journey seems to have lasted for hours. That last place, the draggled taverns, the dreary scrubs, it seemed it was the end of the universe.
No, sir, Camden Town. Look, they're lighting the gas. 5 and 20 to 5. Oh, yes. The nights really are drawing.
The year after the big one pay 6-7 times too much. I call up to the other priest, he come back, I pick up the bill to show him, and madre mia, I could have sworn I put 1 shilling and 6pence on the bill, but there was 11 shillings and 6pence. Now the small priest, he say, I am sorry to confuse your accounts, but the extra 10 shillings will pay for the window. What window?